interesting moves today. Um, yeah, so I'm going to, if anybody else needs to come up, just raise your hand or and at me in the chat, and I will bring you up. And if anybody, Keith, if you see anybody, or Ice, if you see anybody, just let me know. So let's, I guess, go over the profits and wins channel because we had some people just really doing some crazy profits and wins. I have like a really high pitched noise coming from my sinuses right now. I can hear it. I don't know if y'all can hear. I don't know if the microphone's picking up, but it's like happening in my sinuses and it sounds like a squeak toy going off my head right now.
I don't hear it.
You're clear to me,
Oh, it's
man. You're good.
insane. Oh, hold on. I couldn't hear y'all. Hold on. I gotta turn off my music. All right, go, say something, Ice.
Yeah, I was just saying you're clear to me. I don't hear him.
Oh,
Like what you said
yeah.
you
It's
were
funny. It's like somewhere in my sinuses. I can.
hearing.
So let's go ahead. We have D, first day of Blue Sky 150k eval. He's using Q Chronos. A lot of people are using that Q Chronos setup of um, where they're just doing the what is it called? The small take profit. So one multiplier take profit and 25 multiplier on the stop loss, and that's actually really a lot of people have seen a lot of success with that. Keith's just still on those fast track accounts. So the fact that you have a all your account balances are pretty high up, it's nice. You probably end up with another payout here shortly.
Starting to get used to it.
Yeah, it's awesome. We
So
have
so today I'd like to cover, just talk a little bit about my swim.
okay, yeah. You want to do it after we you can do it right after I finish going through the P&Ls, I guess. If you want. Sound good?
Yes, that's fine. Thank
All
you.
right. Yeah. So we have the more top step accounts. People Andy with his automation, he sized down to one contract instead of using three because he didn't have that much of a cushion on his top step accounts. So that's interesting because he's actually kind of just running um, his own little script. Let's see. Today I passed some evals. This is just today. I just realized we're not even into last week yet, but today passed some evals. Just trading my PA accounts. I've taken a step back on a lot of my PA accounts recently, where I am just trading one to two trades a day. That's it. So that was one trade, one in queue contract, um, and just leaving it there. My top stuff evals, I finished up with those. It says 15 trades and 13 trades, which is kind of confusing because I'm pretty sure. Oh, it's because I staggered into the trades one contract at a time. But yeah, I just took some two big scalps on my top stuff evals. And was able to kind of just pass those to line up some more express accounts. Um, the Q Chronos, again, automation. I kind of don't know what settings he's running on his Q Chronos. Because it seems to be a little bit different. He's also he's trading at what, at least one, two, three, at least three, maybe four contracts. So he's trading Q Chronos default setting. So um I don't know if he's doing it on a 50k account. That's just a gamble in the beginning. But you know, uh if he has like a 300k account, might work. Ice, I'll have him go over his trading setups, just crushing it on 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 accounts right there. Yeah, we had some Jay yesterday also posting his is this yesterday or today? It was today. Posting he passed all his top step evals. He also has an express account up 1,500 bucks on the day. He's also trading in micros right now. Um, so he's having some good good success with micros. I'm just kind of going to scroll a little bit faster. This is me just doing the top stuff evals on Friday. Went with his Q Chronos automation again, running at 345. I mean, he's making good money with Q Chronos. So, I'm kind of curious on what his settings are and what chart he's going off of, because he's definitely crushing it. It seems like multiple days in a row. So, just someone Keith trading his micros. That's his fast track, and he'll go over that here in a second as well. But yeah, I mean, we had some people just really doing some crazy things. This was my last week on one of my accounts. This is, I think, my funded future account or my take profit account, one of those two. But you can see that just trading one contract, pretty decent. It's 4 or 5 days. Automation done in 10 minutes. There's Lynn again. We had, I know we had some people post some payouts recently. That's a Blue Knox certification. Oh, I have not traded my Blue Knox account. For some reason, I'm having a hard time logging in on it. I'm not sure why. So I have not traded my Blue Knox account, but I do have one that I just got recently. Austin with his I don't know how he's trading that actually. 2.5 box Rinko on NQ. So I'm curious on what chart setup he's using, if he's using ICEs or not. We have some people in here that someone sent me a payout just recently in a DM. I don't know if they posted it in here, but we had somebody in our group that got like it was like $28,000 payout. I don't know if they want me to show it publicly. I thought they posted it in here, but maybe they didn't. But yeah, I mean, we have just people in here crushing all last week. So, I think I'll have Keith go over his trading style first, and he's going to talk a little bit about his fast track trading, because he's, again, y'all, like he's at $28,000 in this account on a 25K account, 28,000, 28,000, 29,000. He, I think he's already taken a payout out of these accounts. I could be wrong. I'll let him talk about that. But he's just absolutely crushing it in his micros on fast track, and he's being able to get those payouts very quickly. I just keep to take it and just kind of go over your thought process and like how you're trading these. How many contracts are you trading in your micros? On a day, how many trades are you taking? Kind of just give us like a broad overview of you going through this.
Sure. Can you hear me well enough?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Go to screens. So first of all, again, disclaimer, I'm not an amazing trader. I'm not a very profitable trader. Trade since January. I'm tired of losing. So what I'm going to show you is in the Discord today on Pro Lounge. So my first lesson for me is to trade micros. Why? It's much harder to lose accounts trading micros. You buy one micro and you get a drop like what we see on screen. So this is an example of what I wait for. I don't know what you call this. I guess you'd call it a reversal trader. I wait to see a major move like this today. It was just putting around, up, down, just not doing much until it did. It did. There's one contract, and then they came down and started to come back up. I added one more, and then I just simply slid my limit to $100 of profit because maintain consistency. So this is an example of, you can see on the screen, we've already had a drop from let's just say 2,200 to 20,065. So it's about a 140 point drop. Started to see that. And this is also the VWAP, average volume weighted price, you see up here. And so we broke through that. And now we're 140 points away from VWAP. So you want to keep the risk low, because who's to say this isn't going to drop another 100 points? Sometimes it'll go down like this, then it'll come up, and then it'll go way down again, and it can continue as long as decides. Point being, by only trading 2 micros, literally 2 micros, I set it to take profit at $100, just because $100 for accounts, $400, $800 for the day. So in this particular trade, 2 micros. That was it. It was 2 micros netted me $100, one trade in 4 minutes. So I'm starting to learn the value of patience. Sure, you can trade all up in here, when it's going up, when it's going down. You can start to get a sense how the market moves after a while, screen time. So if I've only had months of screen time, but I have had more screen time than some people, right? But you get to notice these patterns, and you can take advantage of these patterns. And so that was really it. So overall, if you look at progress, so before this, I only got one payout step for $800. Since then, I have no payouts. In September, I started to do well. These are not all micros, but they started to become micros right around here. So I requested a payout of $1,500 times 4 accounts. So that's $6,000. Out of that $6,000, I'm going to buy 4 more accounts. And then I only need to make $100 a day across 8 accounts. You can see you can have up to 20 accounts. I could get to where I could only have to make $50 a day. That's still going to bring me more than $15,000 profit. Crazy. So it adds up. Just wanted to reiterate for anybody that blowing accounts, micros, and you'll see what I mean. You can even start to average down. So there have been cases where it continued to move against me. Notice here we're at 2080 and down here we're at 2030. So if this had gone another 50 points, it would have picked up this limit order. And then if it had kept going, I would have put another one. It's kind of finicky in the way that you do it. Like, the more contracts you have, the higher the risk, farther away you might want to average. So it's really important before you get up to 3, 4, or 5 contracts that you can average your dollar cost average, if that's what you want to do on Apex, of course. Yeah. That will work for you. So by this, I almost couldn't fail. What are the odds that he was going to drop another on him?
So
pretty low.
Did you wait to see the volume? I see that you have volume. Do you wait to see the volume start to dissipate before entering into that trade?
You could, but I didn't. I was actually just walked in the door from lunch. I saw this and sat down at my computer. I saw it drop some more, entered one. And all I'm saying is you can make 20K a month trading 2 micros. You really can. Yeah. To hit a 2K drop. Now, the beauty with these accounts is it's just like Top Step prop firms. Once you build up your buffer, so 25K accounts. So once I hit 26,250, stop trailing. So the other day I was using the same technique, pros. I'm probably in it for 6 micros. Wasn't looking pretty, so I was sweating bullets. But the beauty of it was I could have do a calculation. If you are interested in what I'm saying, calculate how far one MNQ would get you in the drawdown for the amount that you have. You'll see why stress. So no, in this case, this is actually a perfect trade, and I could have made more consistent because with track, if you want to pay out 5 days, you have to have those 5 days exact. I go for 10 or 11 days or more until. Just to show you what that looks like. Now, I'm not promoting Fast Track. They're a new company. They don't have Tradivate yet. Actually, Tradivate got pushed back. We know that their professionalism could use some improvements. Aside from that, they have this consistency worksheet. So basically, I went in. You can do this anytime, even if you don't have a link. And you put in all the amounts. And when you're done, it will tell you. Let's just see. This just might help somebody who's having issues.
Yeah, I this will help me because I didn't know this was on their site, and I haven't yet traded fast track because I was like, dude, I don't know all the ins and outs, and I don't know how they're calculating consistency, blah blah blah.
Sure. So you
I
just
just
click
haven't taken
that.
time.
In this case, it
Oh,
shows you're
perfect.
not eligible. Why? Because we have 1 day, 675. So you just have to keep trading another day, another 2 days, etc.
So it has to be under 20% consistency.
Yes,
Okay.
but you
So if
can,
you make $1,000 in a day, you could shoot yourself in the foot big time.
or just a couple more days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so I'm liking the feeling of seeing green. I'm really enjoying that. So if anybody has any questions about micros, questions, conversation, feel free to reach out, share,
Yeah.
so we can all succeed. Thanks.
Sure. Make sure you drop your questions if you have any in chat too, and we'll get to all the questions at the end. In the
Stop,
trading floor Discord.
stop sharing.
Um, what I just wanted to kind of really quick before we move on to you, Ice, just build on kind of what Keith's strategy is, and just kind of wanted to point something out. That a lot of times when we have like those big moves like we had today, right? And we move outside of VWAP standard deviation 2, right? So this is deviation 1, this would be standard deviation 2. When we move outside of standard deviation, it is very, very likely, even if we continue, it's typically very likely that we will pull back to the standard deviation 2 before continuing. Um, and if I switch over to ES, you can kind of see, if I switch to ES, you can see this is the standard deviation 2 level. And you can see how we pulled out of standard deviation, we pulled back and then rejected off of the standard deviation 2, had a little bit of a pullback before it came back through. But this is where it's like, yeah, it's if you're outside of that deviation level and it starts to kind of chop sideways, there's definitely a good chance that we will have a little pullback to that level. There's also only other thing I'll point out about that trade today too is that on ES, that is the uh this was the pivot level. On ES. We went through this pivot, but we kind of found support on that pivot as well, right there. So, I was looking at the pivot on SPX as well, and the pivots on NQ, but it lined up perfectly with this pivot. We kind of would have been a great trade to kind of at least expect that tiny pullback. And when you're only scalping for like $100, on even with M and Qs, it can definitely be profitable. So, uh, you know, a great trade, a great kind of setup.
There's a
Ice,
question. There's a
yeah,
question really quick. They want to know what the indicator is, and on screen it looks like a change of character. Is that SMC?
SMC.
Smart money
Which one?
concepts.
The one on my screen right here.
Yes.
So this is my 1 minute chart. These are just moving averages and the daily VWAP anchor, and then I have the cool whatever cool field. This is not what I don't trade off the 1 minute chart very often. I go down to the 1 minute chart a lot of times. So I trade mainly off. Oh wait, we're on the 2 minute chart. Sorry. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's smart money concepts. Sorry, that's smart money concepts. Order blocks, TI Trading Wiz order blocks, which is free in the Discord channel. If you go under, somebody can link the freebies, and then pivot points. So that's what I have on the 2 minute chart. Smart money concepts, order blocks, and pivot points. I keep my order blocks. I keep pivots traditional on. Um, I keep all the settings like that. And I keep that open on the 2 minute, the 5 minute, and the 15 minute, just so I can, really quickly look over and get an idea of where things are in the market. And I think smart money concepts on the 2 minute works typically very well. You can see even like as we formed the shelf during that 2 p.m., right? And we had that change of character that moved down. This would have been a great move to capitalize on. A lot of things that I'm starting to, um, i- if you're trading levels, a lot of times what I tell people, there's all sorts of different styles of trading, first off, but if you're trading like levels, right? If you're trying to trade from pivot to pivot, a good rule of thumb is not to expect the whole pivot. Is to, it's like if you wanted to short this pivot today, right? And you had a relatively tight stop. I am on ES, but you would want to target half of what from this pivot to this pivot, right? So 23. So you would want to target 12 points. There's reasons why behind this, but I have found more success doing that. And then also, I'm not afraid to, break even my trade after a little bit, after we see maybe half of this move play out. I'll break even the trade and let it go to work. But you can see actually how, even on 50%, how that plays out right here, right? And then that becomes that level. So there's a reason why that works, where you're taking the your profit at 50% of the pivot levels. Um, it doesn't always work, but a lot of times you have moves like that where if, you know, during the Fed speaking today at 155, Powell speaking, right? It would have shot the other way, you would have broke even on your trade, but it did complete half the move. Um, that happens so much. It's hard to explain um like how often that happens. So yeah, I have a bunch of screens. Whoever asks what I'm always looking at, I guess somebody
Question
asked
for
that.
you. Question for
Yeah.
you. We just had green rectangles drawn on the screen. Is that are those manual drawings that you did?
No, these rectangles are the Trading Wiz order blocks.
Okay, that's where I was
The
going. So
neon ones. Yeah.
is the reason you're using the SMC and the order blocks because the SMC will either show fair value gaps or order blocks? It doesn't do both.
So the Trading Wiz order blocks that's free inside the Discord channel. If you go into Pro VBs, I c- it's calculating order blocks differently. So you end up with different order blocks than you do from the smart money concepts. So it's not that it's so they complement each other. The best way to describe it is that they doesn't invalidate the order blocks that smart money concept has. It just it's and I only use that on the 2 minute and the 5 minute is the other thing. So you can see uh, how the smart money concepts didn't have an order block here, right? But my TI Trading Wiz thing did have an order block here at this level. And so it's just a different way of calculating an order block, and it tends to uh, be a benefit to the smart money concepts order blocks as well. So they complement each other. Yeah, so that's why I use it. And
And
that's
that
why I made it
pivots,
free for everybody.
the pivots indicator, does that just bounce around on its own? Does it adjust in real
Yeah,
time?
pivot. It does pivots every single day. It's free inside of TradingView. It's TradingView's own thing. So if you look at it on like the 15-minute, you can see how we have pivots every single day that
Ugh.
adjust. Yeah,
Every
yeah.
15 minutes? Okay.
No. It's not every 15 minutes. It's every day. So these are pivot levels every single day. So
Okay, so it's
if I
session.
zoom in, you can see. Yeah, it's based off the pivot levels are based off the previous days highs and lows and some other things, and then it calculates pivot levels based off that. There's actually different types of pivot levels too, but this is where it gets confusing because it's like you can have SPX pivot levels slightly be different from ES pivot levels, slightly be different, and QQQ pivot levels don't line up. But a lot of times the market's like a whole sometimes. Sometimes they do. Sometimes you'll get an NQ pivot and an ES pivot being hit at the exact same time. And you could say that that might be added confluence, that it might be a strong point of rejection, or you can have stuff like this where it's like You have the, on the 5-minute chart, we have this pivot level being hit. We have volume dying off. We have an order block here at this level, you know, um, and we're outside of deviation, right? Way outside of the second deviation. So it's like we come down to this level, there's a high chance that we'll, at bare minimum, have a little bit of a pullback. Might not be a super strong one because we were in like a really big downtrend, but it is, if I had to put my money on any level, um, you know, that we're going to bounce after this pivot, it's going to be that next zone, that next pivot level. So um there's other things to look at too, other things that I think are important. There's going to be a video here on this really soon, which is going to be the London high, London low, Asia high, and Asia low as well. I think are important levels, and I do use them. Um, I especially use Asia highs and lows if I'm trading London session. I don't trade London session very much, because I'm on the East Coast, and that kind of sucks. Waking up at 3 in the morning, or staying up till 3 in the morning to trade it. But that being said, I did that last November. I think I told Tusi, and I it was my most profitable month last year. Was trading London, and I trade London and then New York Open. Then I would go to sleep in the afternoon and then wake up around like 6 p.m. It's not an ideal schedule, but I did make more money doing that than any other time. So I don't know. I don't know. This is not what I want to do, but it's kind of makes sense now. So let's go ahead and jump into ICE really quick, um, and then we'll jump into automation.
All right. Can you guys hear me clear?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good, good. So today was it clearly was a raining day until actually right before we got on our Q&A call where it just a Q&A live stream where it just shot up crazy, which I was kind of surprised to see. But kind of what I've been doing lately, and Travis, that you can, I would say, take credit for this, is I've been wanting my traits to be a bit more disciplined. So I've been identifying pivot levels to just keep aware of and an eye on, and then correlating that with QuantVue. So one of the ones I wanted to highlight, and guys, just for ladies and gentlemen, just for kind of showing what I'm looking like, I always chart just stand on candlesticks just so I can see what the opening range bracket was. And as you can see, we kind of was up and down the opening range for a large part before we pushed up a little bit, and then we came back down, and then we pushed below, and then we came back. So pretty much, as I've explained to several people that I talk with, it's kind of equivalent to getting in a car, going around your neighborhood for using a half a tank of gas, and then we kind of end up right where we start. Before, like I said, we kind of shot up like right before the call started, and we're kind of just ending the day because there's really not that much volume left. But I wanted to highlight specifically where, um, like a perfect trade that would have correlated with QuantView, right? So, as you can see, starting at around, this is around the 10 a.m. areas when we started to just be bearish for the most part. You do see a couple of QA bulls, and we get a brief Q line buy here, but you can just draw a trend line where it would just go down, right? And this was our, if I remember correctly, our S1 level on NQ, which was about 130.50. Looking at QuantView's Q Pro chart, as you can see, we went below it just a bit. And then after that, it just shot up to roughly about 60 or so points. So you could have used Q line to confirm that this would have been a good entry. You could have used combination of momentum showing the dot here and going up, Moneyball Diamond going up, Q Cloud fully forming and going up, and this would have been an awesome trade to take. And again, all of this was fantastic as well. Um, but if I remember correctly, I don't think there was not any identifying reasons to getting on this trade other than just, of course, trusting um, what Q Pro is saying. But I wanted to look at something that would bounce off of a key level and correlate that with QuantView's indicators. And this was one of the perfect opportunities to take. And so it was just a couple trades that I took um, this morning, and then after that, I closed it up and had to run some errands. But I think if we continue to use, of course, everything that QuantVue has to offer, whether it's automation or manual trading, along with identifying key levels that'll definitely help a confidence in a setup, so we can continue to have more green days and red days, and of course, make sure you don't um, be
Awesome.
tempted
Question
to
for
over
you.
leverage. Yeah.
Question for you, Ice. So Ice is sort of a local celebrity in that the chart you see on screen is actually shared in the Discord copy use it. Of course, if you membership required those strategies on screen. So have you found that do you take more precaution on certain days of the week? Treat every day the same.
Whenever I chart on the normal candlesticks just to see what it looks like it's doing, and at the very minimum, I would get on the chart 15 minutes after market open if it's a New York session. So if I was just to go back and look, for example, um, that was about here. So even though we had this great push up right at about this point, is when it started to kind of be up and down before coming down a bit. I normally don't do market open just because back when I wanted to trade, I over leveraged and was trying to catch moves, and my stop was too tight. So I ended up getting stopped out and blew many accounts with that. So I just always tried to be disciplined and just waiting 15 minutes out, right? So at this point, with the pivot point, I probably would have waited to see what would have happened around this area. And essentially, as you can see, this was, you can kind of say, like a technical hard resistance level, because we go near touching it once, we go near touching it twice, and then we go even less touching it the third time before it kind of just drops off. So I would just use the knowledge of where the pivot point levels are and resistance or support, because it shows that also, and then correlate that with what it shows on my chart. That would give me added confluence and confidence to take. Again, if I was on the chart at 945 or 950, it would have been a sell that I would have took. And if we could just go back to about that point, that looks like that's about here. And you can see it was a deep dive down from 2258 to 2195. And then it went up a little bit before diving down again.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So I don't know if you saw, but I copied you. I'm starting to mark the 1 minute chart, starting to mark the 30 open
Yeah, it looked good. Looked good.
spots like you're doing. You'll look and see. I bet if you went back today above that bar, come back to it. Below the bar, come back. So
Right, right.
after a while, it does help price be a little more context.
Yeah, and it
It's a
just
good
gives
tip.
you an idea of what price is doing, right? Like it doesn't, you don't get jaded by what these numbers look like. Like, just an hour ago, this was all deep red before we had that rally and go green. So one of the things I learned, and again, this was from trial and error when I was trading,
Yeah.
and I would admit this was a rookie thing to do. I would see what this number is, whether it was green or red, and depending on how green or red, I would automatically presume it's going to be a sales kind of day or a buy kind of day. But that's just not how you should view the market. So once I was taught and understood, and I still have a long way to go, but this is just your most basic form of support and resistance, right? Like you're either doing the 1 minute, Travis has talked about doing the 15-minute opening range. I believe it was a video made about that, actually, either a social media or a YouTube video. But just trying to, as best as you can, paint the picture of what you think the market is going to do, so that will aid your reasoning for the trades we take based on what we see with QuantVue. So if we're not just taking stuff blind, it'll help, when you're successful, and it'll even help when you lose, because you can you're able to kind of get an understanding of why, and that's kind of the most important thing with trading, more so than the wins and losses, but the reasons why, so you can continue to learn, and it'll help you become more consistent as you continue to trade each and every day.
We have a
Yeah.
question in the chat. It's how do you use momentum and Moneyball to tell a trending reversal? A lot of times Moneyball the other way show the opposite. It only goes for a few bars before getting stopped out. Do you use something else?
So what I do specifically, and I can give just an example right here, like with the strategy that I use, like I try to have all of the confluences together before I take a trade. So let me give an example of what that looks like with this one, right? So preferably, I want price to be above Q line. So price is above Q line here, right? And I'm gonna mark it just so I'm not having to hold the mouse, and I'll remove this one here. Just give me a moment.
Alt
Okay, so
H.
yeah, so price is above this line, right? And then I come down and I check Moneyball, and if I'm waiting here, I notice it's still dark blue, even though it's weakening. So I wait, and then I notice on momentum, the dot has formed. So I know that even though Moneyball hasn't shifted bullish yet, momentum is starting to push upward. So I just want my four different confluences to be in unison, right? And the reason why I do those four is because that will give me the most peace if a trade loses. If I just do it based on momentum alone or based on Q cloud alone, my experience with taking those trades I've seen where losses happen. And probably the best example I can give of what that looks like would be here, right? So let's say I took this zone momentum just by itself. As you can see, it kind of is sideways before we get another zone and going down. So I want to use as many confluences as possible to support the reason why I get in a trade. And then I let price show why I should get out the trade. And here's an example of why I would have gotten out here. And I'm going to zoom in just to give an example. So when we peak here, we start to get multiple Rincos. And if you're not trailing price to protect your profit, once cloud begins to change colors, that's giving you an indication of an exit. That is supported also by Moneyball turning red when it was green here and went up this whole time. So usually those are the reasons why it's an exit, or even if you're wanting to, I would say scalp all day to reverse this. But I just would typically exit. So
And
that's what I would recommend for you.
I would also keep in mind, like he said earlier, is that he took the trade, waited for a level, and then went down to the Rincos to see how it reacted. I think a lot of times people are trying to just trace price 24/7 and not being patient and waiting for a level that has a high probability of reaction, then seeing how that level plays out. Or you could also play a range and then go down to the Rincos and see, how's it going to play out? Are we breaking out of a range and then going into, smaller Rinko charts to confirm that? I'll, you know, so that's just a little thought. Um, yeah. Anything else, Ice, that you want to touch on?
Um, no, I think I'm good.
Okay.
It was a mostly, I don't want to say weird because I think weird justifies the description. It was just a very I would say uneventful day until the very end, like right before we got on the chart and kind of shot up. So I was kind of surprised by that, but it just kind of lets you know that the market can do anything at any time, and there's just so many different opportunities to
Yeah.
make money just based on when you're charting. But it's just important to, along with QuantVue, of course, is if you're able to identify those levels that are going, and then you see QuantVue supports those levels going up and down, that'll definitely help your confidence
Hmm.
in being successful with trading.
Yeah, I agree. Something I want to show really quick. for people to just add confluence to it, is that this is my 5 minute NQ chart. The yellow lines right here and here are the highs and lows of London session. Blue is the high and low of Asian session. And so you can see, or the reason why I want to bring this up is just like you can see how we react during New York session. So this is, oh, I don't want to move that. So this is all of New York session. And so you can see how we react kind of off of that Asia high or the London high here. And I set my London high right at like 9 uh right before 9:30. So the London high was based off of this level right here. Um and so you can kind of see how we react off of that London high all day, right? And you can also see how we reacted off of the I wouldn't say we didn't really react off of London low, um, but we did once we came back into the range today, right? And we started making these wicks. These wicks were perfectly wicking the London low. And again, it's kind of the same concepts as pivots, right? If you were to try to short up near London high, right, or Asia high, right, I do the same thing that I do with pivots, where it's like I'm aiming to take half that range. So, if we shorted this, I would be measuring from London to London. That's 120 points. So I'd be aiming for about 62 points would be the kind of concept there, right? About 50%. Um, and then, I would probably keep my stop above these highs. And then as the trade goes in your favor, close it, bring it to break even. So it's just another way of using levels that just not pivots, just not order blocks, right? I mean, but it can get overwhelming. So it's like, I look at everything, I feel like, but I very careful of how I'm trading. A lot of times when you have levels and you get yourself into a trade, right, it's good to know that these levels are possible rejection points to take your profit, more than even entering into a trade. A lot of times I'm using those levels as like, hey, like I'm going to shave off my profit or be really, really tight, because if we reverse here, you could end up with something like we had at that 5 minute mark, where you know uh something like we had down here, where that was the ES pivot and we just like rocket it. So, and we're outside of that standard deviation, so it's kind of like all that in combination. So I think last thing we're going to talk about is going to be um automa- automation here. um yeah, let's do the NinjaTrader automation update, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Can we? Okay, cool.
So I'm kind of switching things up this week. In the past, I've run kind of in the U.S. trading times. So this week, I'm going to run all of the Q grid strategies 23 hours a day. So I'm going to run it 5 minutes after open, and I'll run it until close. I had kind of some interesting results from today. I kind of expected most of these to get chopped out quite a bit throughout the day. But it looks like everything ended. The let's see, the lowest one was a $400 loss. The highest was a $3,000 gain. So I'm getting some interesting results. I'm kind of looking forward to finishing the week out and compiling everything and looking over what all the results are. Um, One thing to note, I've had a couple of people ask for some hot fixes on a couple of the community scripts. So I'm going to be working on a Q momentum strategy fix, as well as the community created iceberg script for NinjaTrader, not to be confused with the anticipated TradingView strategy. So I've got a couple of things to do coding wise to get those fixes done, and I'll have them done early this week. I'm running in the background. I know you guys only see 9 strategies on the stream. I'm running 27 strategies at the same time. So I'm trying to get as much information, as much data as we can get all at once to try to narrow down some settings.
Nice. It's awesome. Um, yeah, and a lot of people, I kind of run some automation on like Blue Sky every now and then too. But I do it from TradingView into the prop software. Um, I tend to mess with it probably more than I should, right? Like, and sometimes I've run stuff that's probably you shouldn't run. Like, I like to run things on a one box, and I can lose like 900 bucks very, very quickly, and then I can make 900 bucks very, very quickly. And what I have found myself doing is if I lose 900 bucks and I go in and manually trade the account and try to get it back out of the hole for the day, not ideal. I need to just leave it alone. But something that I wanted to show that I told Anthony to do um, like a long time ago. I didn't think he was going to do it. I thought he forgot about it, but he posted in the automation channel that here he has a Q Chronos version coming that is going to have martingale. Um, and so this is with no martingale, and this is with the martingale. You can see a much more steep vertical path, right? Um, Now, a lot of prop firms won't allow you to martingale. Some will. Um, and uh, I love martingaling on prop firms that allow you to, right? So that how this martingales, to my knowledge, I'm not sure yet. I haven't actually had it to test it. He might have actually given it to me to test, but I haven't. Um, but w- I think how his is martingaling is it's adding, if it loses a trade, then the next trade it'll take two contracts or whatever the martingale multiplier is. It could be 1.5x or whatever. um and so each trade, if you take the idea is like, when you take some losing trades, that winner is going to outweigh those losers basically eventually. Now the risky thing with martingale is going to be, of course, blowing the account up. And so it's going to be interesting to see his spin on it. Martingaling is something that, again, I don't know if I would do it all the time, but it's like if you have like a Blue Sky account or something that allows you martingale, right? And it's like one of those things where you kind of just figure out like how many days did it work until it blew up, especially if it's martingaling aggressively. Yeah, and if you're at like 90 days, but you can take, you know, so you're averaging 90 days alive, but you can take out 6 payouts, it's completely worth doing, especially if you have a payout system or you're on a prop firm that allows you to take payouts that have no cap. Right now, eventually will that prop firm then make a rule saying you can't do what you're doing? Maybe. um this is not something to do on Apex. Don't do it. Probably will get you banned from Apex. So but it's fun to see stuff like that. This gets into, I mean, that this gets into, this is over 2 years. So his martingale is not, to me, doesn't look like it's doubling every loss, because if it was doubling every loss, like this would look a lot different. So I'm not sure how he's, maybe it's like 0.5 increase, or it's a very low increase. So has a really nice, really nice equity curve, right? And so I'm excited to kind of see this. This is why I'm kind of excited to see this, especially for static accounts. But yeah, if you guys haven't joined automation or checked it out, once this drops, I think it's worth looking at, and trying to figure out what prop firms will allow us to trade this and what prop firms won't. And then just, this gets into like, all right, yeah, just allow it. Prop firms that are going to allow it, some people are going to make a lot of money in relatively short period of time. That's why I'm so excited to see it, because I love martingale strategies. I know you shouldn't, but personally, back in a couple of years ago, I made a lot of money trading props on some prop firms that allowed it at the time. Um, and so I'm a big fan of it. If they pay out quickly and there's no rules against it, I'm just saying, like, you know, especially now that you have some prop firms that you can get payouts in like 5 days, and it's like, if you 5 days and they allow you to double your trade every time you lose, and you only have to make it for 5 days trading it. Like, dude, that's a recipe for you know, that's a bad recipe for someone to take advantage using martingale for sure. um and again, I'm just kind of showing the automation channel too that we have, where people are testing different strategies, posting their results using automation. So it's a very cool cool little section of QuantVue to get into. um Anyways, uh anybody have any more questions before we hop off here? Let's see. I'll open it up
While
for
you're waiting, I
questions.
have something to share.
Yeah.
QuantVue's doing so much that it's hard to stay up to speed on everything that's going on. Just wanted to show that if you're not signed up for the QuantVue newsletters, the market brief, advise that you do. It's nice to get these from QuantVue. So get some top steps. It's nice to get those in the email. They do have a new feature, upgrade to paid, where they will actually give you the levels for the day on ES. So just so you're aware that there's yet another way to become. Also, there'll be a video coming out soon about Top Step X, automating it. There's a couple other things in the works. We down here in Florida have had challenges with hurricanes past week, so we appreciate your patience. That's all I have.
um yeah, Kevin, that is I think you just saw the little bit of extra cost there. We do have a lot of some other things in the Discord channel too. I want to say under official links, where we have um some other things like all our a lot of the stuff. Oh, I wanted to say Dragon Alert Dragon was in there, but I don't see it in there now. But we'll put everything. We'll probably update the. I say we'll probably update the official links here this week, just to make sure that everything's in there. Everything that all the subscription stuff. I know. Yeah, yeah. Actually, the free market report's there too. So we do have the free market report, but we'll make sure to update the official links inside the Discord channel to have everything. Um, let's see, questions. Bummer, I was getting ES levels, but then it stopped. Let's see. Martingale should last for at least. Hey, crappy Martingale can even last for 5 days. Jay, that's weird that you had weird spread issues with your Blue Sky eval. I have never had really any issues with my Blue Sky eval. I know that there was like a massive rhythmic issue recently that affected all rhythmic platforms. That was like a week ago or something. So it didn't matter what trading platform you're on, it would affected it. And so that could have been it, because I know that Blue Sky, to my knowledge, has their own private rhythmic server. And I've never had an issue on their Tradeovate stuff. So um, it could have been something you're trading. And little update for people too on the prop firm side is that people, you can't trade bonds. Don't trade bonds right now on almost any prop firms. Even if you were trading bonds, you weren't having issues. A lot of the prop firms are banning bonds because there's a little glitch that people were doing with the spreads, and making a lot of money that wasn't real money. It wouldn't have worked on a live account, but they were able to manipulate it to make it work on paper. And yeah, so this is why we see a lot of the firms right now banning bonds, or not allowing people to trade bonds until they can come up with a fix. So that doesn't happen anymore, and which sucks for the people that actually really trade bonds. Let's see. That's how I do the market recap. I look at the highs and lows. Nice. I noticed that some of the algo bots run 930 to 12, which is the best for volatility. my experience has been different with this. All right. First off, I wouldn't run any script for the first 5 minutes of market open, right? Just because the first 5 minutes is always nasty, and nobody I know runs a script the first 5 minutes of market open. Um, yeah, that's just a bad idea. Um, the so you typically 9:35 to 11:40 is what I've seen people do. Some people will run it from 9:35 to 11:40, but if it makes X amount in profit, they'll just turn it off for the day. And you can set that up inside of the TradingView suites too. So it's like you can say, hey, after it makes $1,200, turn it off for the day. Um, so that's typically what we see. The exception to this of running it in the morning is like if we have news later in the day, right? Because we can chop around, kind of like we did today, but not really. There are some other days that we've had in the past. Like if there's 10 a.m. news, a lot of times people will turn it on at 10:05 and then trade it for an hour and 30 minutes, and not trade the first 30 minutes of the day because a lot of times we'll just chop. Sometimes we could just blast off in one direction. It's not worth the risk though. So that's typically what I recommend for automation. I know Anthony does something similar. I think most of his scripts run from like 9:35 to about 11:40. A little bit of variation in between there. So that's typically what we is the most success. And last one, I have a friend that runs scripts, and he runs his starting at 10 a.m. and he goes to like 2 p.m. So he has but he also trades, his scripts trade ES. So yeah, I mean, his script does not trace volatility. A lot of the QuantVue scripts are looking for high volatile moves to capitalize on them. So as we go into the afternoon, it doesn't perform as good. Um, so it just depends too on the script, right? Like if you're trading a script off of that's somehow based on pivot levels, right? Well, it's just going to take a trade whenever it gets to that pivot level, right? Or if you're you could write a script that's going to trade outside of deviation, right? And wait for those deviation pullbacks, right? Well, that's not going to work a lot of times in the morning because we don't have deviation levels like spread out yet, right? And so there's every script is different, but I would say for the most part, for a lot of the QuantView stuff, early in the morning, for sure, is the best. Let's see, ice, and the other thing with the automation is feel free to ask people that are posting in the Profits and Wins channel. Um, Ask them just simple question of like, hey, what time do you run your script? Right. And then it kind of gives people an idea of like, oh, they run their script this at this time, at this time, at this time. And you can kind of base, off of what other people are already successful with instead of trying to invent the wheel. ICE has been extremely helpful with helping me understand the difference in automation, but had it not been for him, I would be lost. And I have uh, an IQ of 137. So it makes uh, so it may help y'all get more revenue faster for sure. I mean, helping getting grasp on kind of automation does help a little bit. Just get you. It, it helps kind of just. It's nice seeing automation that works like Q Chronos and people successful with Q Chronos, especially when it's taking small amounts every single day, right? And it's like, oh, you don't need to go for home runs. Like here's somebody trying Q Chronos that's only making 100, maybe 200, $300 a day, right? But still getting to payouts, you know? And eventually, yeah, maybe Q Chronos might take a couple losing days, right? Maybe they might miss a payout cycle. But I think it's nice to see when you have something like that, the consistency and how that eventually plays out. Um,
Quick
Where's the
question
profit
for you.
place? Yeah.
There you go. You were reading what I was about to say. Just a good question. I know that with profit wins, we try to kind of clean because when that's posted in ads and elsewhere, social media, what have you, it's best not to have much chatter in it. But it's a valid question. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So if you have a question about somebody's profits and wins, typically what I tell people to do is just go into the pro lounge and at them. And the thing that you can do, if watch me be wrong about this, I'm going to look silly. I go into profits and wins, right? I can, uh,
Also, copy the message link.
yeah, you can copy the message, or you can copy message link, right? So you can copy the message. There, I'll show my screen when I do this. This is what I tell people to do, right? So let's go to Keith. All right, I go here and I go delete message and ban. I'm just kidding. I go copy message link right here, right? And so when I copy the message link, then I can go in Pro Lounge and be like, uh, at Keith, how did this? Like, right? So now I added him, but it also links. If I clicked on this, it links back to that original message. So people can then go and see exactly what you're talking about. So that's the best way to do it. That way, you know, it's keeps the profits wins channel clean, and also when you post in Pro Lounge, people can also click and see, oh, what are they talking about? I just trying to
Thank you.
keep the profits wins channel a little bit clean, just so we have a lot of the wins in here without having a whole chat log. I wish that there was like a better way of doing that, but I think that's the best way to do it for now. And the other thing, if you haven't gotten the profits wins channel, make sure you guys do and check out Ice's post, because he breaks down how his trades. He takes a screenshot of why he took the trade, where he took the trade, and his P&L. So a lot of times, if you're having trouble with your trading, kind of going back and looking at, hey, Ice took this setup. Why did he take this trade? And try to figure out why he took the trade. And then ask. I'm sorry, Ice, I'm putting this on you, but if you want to at him in the pro lounge, don't DM him. Add him in the pro lounge and just say, hey, like, did you take this trade based on a pivot level, right? Like, it was this. Was there a level here? You can ask him questions, but a lot of times he does a really good job of explaining exactly why he made that trade. But yeah. So
Question for you. On that
mhm.
topic, we now have a losses lessons channel. I've noticed that there we seem to be invoking a little bit of conversation. Seems to be
Mm.
more of a place where you share your losses and people talk about lessons and ways to improve it. So I suppose it's still okay to continue to have conversations in the losses lessons channel.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I haven't been monitoring this channel, so I've let it do whatever. Um, I don't think any of us have been monitoring this channel. So yeah, I think if you want to have questions about why people are losing in here, I think that's fine. I don't think I will. I mean, because it's already happened, and so I'm not going to clean up. But this is what I don't want the Profit and Win channel to look like, just
Right.
because I want it to be a lot cleaner. But yeah, so I don't see why not. Yeah, so if you guys want to open this up for conversation, you guys can. Um,
I was just
and
touching on it because it followed quickly behind the question, so it's just good.
yeah, and this is where Marcus is posting a lot of his Q sumos and Q chronos results. So it's interesting to kind of watch this. He is running Q sumo, and looks like Friday was a bad day for Q sumo. Bad Friday was also a bad day. I ran Q sumo as well on Friday, and also had a very, very bad day. Yeah, so it was kind of interesting watching his Q chrono setting, or his Q sumo settings, and mine kind of um side by side. But I haven't posted mine, but maybe I should start posting. um yeah. Is there any more questions? Let's see, Keith. And might want to turn off your noise suppression unless you have a bad background noise. Your mic cuts out every now and then. It's not bad though. Let's see. Where's the
I'll get it down.
proper? All right, I think that's it. All right, thank you guys for joining on another call. And if you have any questions or feel free to reach out. I'm trying to get better at checking my DMs. So if you have DM'd me, give me some time. I'm getting like 11 DMs a day roughly, and so I'm trying to be better at responding to DMs. Yeah. So if you've DM'd me, be patient. I'll get to you. I promise I'll reply. So that's it for this video. Make sure you guys like, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.